ASCII here for Nerf TV, and welcome back to the latest part of our Elder Scrolls Online series. Today we begin a new section looking at the 4 different classes, starting with the Dragonknight. Now, no particular class is locked into just one role. Changing up weapons and skills allows all the classes to have a range of options for combat, but each class does lean slightly towards a classic archetype. The Dragonknight falls into the warrior archetype and specialises in melee combat, as well as defending others using tanking mechanics. Adept at using a variety of weapons, they are well known for using two-handers, although some prefer a more defensive stance and mix in a shield. They use magic to boost their damage and defense and keep on top of their enemies. There are 3 possible skill trees which a player can choose to go down. Ardent Flame, Draconic Power and Earth and Heart each specialise in a different type of combat. Ardent Flame focuses on fiery attacks and debuffs and is the most offensive of the 3 lines and provides access to some very strong skills at the expense of some of the versatility and defense tools offered by the other skill trees. Fiery Reach deals damage to the target while pulling them towards you, and Lava Whip can be used to add an effect on an immobilised or stunned foe. Searing Strike and Fiery Breath both deal damage and apply damage over time effect, while Inferno is a toggleable aura that deals damage to nearby enemies while draining your magicka. The ultimate is Dragonknight Standard. This deals AoE damage and reduces incoming healing to any nearby enemies. As a bonus effect, it also initiates the Shackle synergy. The passives all up your damage except for Warmth, which adds a snare effect to your fire damage skills. These skills clearly point towards a damage dealer with some good crowd control. A Dragonknight specialising in this skill tree would be hard to get away from and a ferocious fighter. The second skill tree is Draconic Power, and this is a much more defensive variant and turns the Dragonknight into a formidable defensive force. Spike Armour and Reflective Scales both mitigate damage while also dishing some back out. Inhale absorbs health from nearby enemies, and Dragon Blood applies a healing effect to the player with an added heal over time effect. Dark Talons roots all nearby enemies in place for some added CC. The ultimate skill Dragon Leap jumps the player forward, dealing AoE damage where they land with a knockback effect. The passives all increase your survivability through increased defense or healing. All of these skills work well together to mix up control, damage mitigation and self-healing. These skills will work great to give the player continued staying power if the fight starts to go against them. Combining Dragon Leap and Inhale for a mixture of damage, knockback and healing on a large scale, while Spike Armour or Scales mitigate any incoming damage, could be a great combo. The final line is Earth and Heart. It offers utility and control tools that are supremely useful. Using molten weapons, the Dragonknight can buff their allies, and with Obsidian Shield they can also protect their allies from incoming damage, and both of these skills are twice as effective if used on other Dragonknights. Petrify and Ash Cloud can be used to provide stun and snare effects, and Stone Fist works as a ranged knockdown. The ultimate, Magma Armour, limits the incoming damage and deals damage to those around you, and each of the passive skills provide interesting utility to the skill set in a variety of areas. For all intents and purposes, this is the support skill line. These buffs are strong and can be very effective when combined with teams of Dragonknights, and the ultimate ability is great for tanks when combining the skills from the Draconic Power line, and it will certainly make a solid build. The selection of crowd control skills makes this a formidable opponent to get away from, and can be used to close down dangerous enemies. There are a number of great combinations that are possible with the Dragonknight, but I think it will be common to see Draconic Power taken as a secondary skill set, with primary focus on either of the other two depending on if the player wants damage or support. Either way, the Dragonknight will be very self-sufficient with healing and defense, as well as having access to a number of CCs. It makes for a very interesting profession, and I like the idea that it's not just a straight up tank or fighter, and brings crowd control skills into the mix. It means that Ardent Flame builds will be able to lock down and deal nice damage to a target without having to constantly chase a kiting enemy, and the more tank based Earth and Heart builds will be able to use their skills to interrupt the enemy and avoid damage to either themselves or their allies. It makes for some more active play as a tank rather than just being a meat shield. All in all, the Dragonknight is going to make for a formidable fighter. Make sure to watch out for groups of them, as with the Earth and Heart buffs, they're going to be a powerful force. So I hope you enjoyed our look at the Dragonknight. Make sure to let us know if you're planning on playing one. But for now, I've been ASCII and you've been watching Nerf TV. Make sure to subscribe for loads more Elder Scrolls Online videos. Thank you for watching.